acknowledged that Malawi still has a big problem as far as job creation for the youth is concerned. The Malawi's labor force is mostly young and informal, and the median age is below 20 years, and this can be a problem, and at the same time it can be an opportunity. Talk about the population dividend versus population curse. More than 90% of Malawians work outside formal channels, and this deprives these small startups from access to capital, the inability to benefit from deducting VAT on their inputs or winning procurement contracts, among many other challenges. We are here to have an important discussion on what Malawi needs to do to ensure that it creates jobs for its overwhelmingly young population. I would now like to welcome our panelists in this panel discussion. We have got Ms. Dineo Nkwezalamba, an entrepreneur. She's based in Blantyre, and she's the director for Zodiak Africa. Welcome. We also have on this panel discussion Dr. Thomas Montali. He is the CEO for the National Planning Commission. Welcome. We also have in this discussion Mr. George Kaki. He's the Executive Director for Employers Consultative Association of Malawi. Welcome. And we have Mr. Wiskes Nkombezi. He's the Director of SMEs and Cooperatives from the Ministry of Industry. Welcome. To set the ball rolling, I'll invite Ms. Dineo Nkwezalamba to tell us what she thinks the problem is. We have a challenge with job creation. What needs to be done?
Thank you so much, moderator. I would like to acknowledge some people in the room. It was a pleasure for the Honorable Vice President, Saulos Chilima, to grace the event. And also, I would like to thank the Minister of Trade and also the Minister of Labor for being present. The question that you are asking is an interesting one. And I would like to believe that it's a question that we cannot just answer looking into just one area. When we talk about 90% of our entrepreneurs, or probably a potential entrepreneurs, are more in informal sector, we need to look into what's exactly on the ground as yet. Programs that are on skills and training. I see the gap as an entrepreneur and also being an ecosystem enabler in Malawi for 5 years, that for us to create a holistic view of employment creation, we need to look into, number one, have we provided enough infrastructure to support the people that we want them to create jobs? Have we educated them enough? When we talk about business acumen, it's not only about acquiring the skill set of you having a skill set of a particular industry, but also to say that, do you know how to become the manager of the business that you've been trained to actually work on? And the third part is that, and this is the example that we just saw in the exhibition, we have products in Malawi. We are a warm heart of Africa, but we cannot afford to give our entrepreneurs market. It can be based on the economies of scale. When you compare South Africa and also other neighboring countries, it can also be that our cost of production is very high. Now, the question that I'll place back is that, us in the room, what are we going to do to ensure that the 80% of Malawi that is rural become our potential customers? Because for us to create jobs, to create customers, and those customers must be locally based. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Dineo Nkwezalamba, for setting the ball rolling. We are going to have an open discussion after we have heard from our panelists, and I will invite you, the people who are here, to chip in, and you can comment on what he has said, or you can indeed ask questions to any of our panelists. And for that, let me also announce, for those who are following this discussion on Zodiak radio and television, that you can participate in this discussion by sending a message to 0997 932 888. 0997 932 888. You can send the message on SMS You can send a message on WhatsApp. The main issue is job creation, especially among the predominantly youthful population of Malawi. Where are we getting it wrong? What needs to be done? We are privileged to have, as part of this panel discussion, Dr. Thomas Montali, the CEO of the National Planning Commission. And the National Planning Commission is a critical institution as far as the development of this country is concerned, because it is the one which has been charged with the responsibility of creating the vision and selling it to Malawians and making sure that they have buy-in into that vision. We're now talking about Vision 2063. There was a time when we were singing the song of Vision 2020, or this is 2020. And now we're shifting the goalposts to 2063. How do we get to where we want to be as a nation? And what strategic skills do we need to invest in to ensure that we'll fulfill the vision of 2063? Dr. Montali, please take us through what you think needs to be done. The microphone is right on your left.
Thank you so much, Joab, for the moderation and recognizing also the Minister of Labor and the other ministers that are here present with us, and all the high-level delegation members here and colleagues on the panel. I think, let me begin by saying, as you rightly pointed out, Joab, that we are in the final stages of coming up with the vision, a new vision for the country, which we're shooting for 2063, where we're saying we really have to have this vision to be youth-centric. We're not doing it for us, we're doing it for the youth and their children. And key to it are three, the vision that is emerging so far is inclusive wealth creation and self-reliance. So the fact that we're talking of inclusive wealth creation without leaving anybody behind, driven by the youth, we have three pillars to it. First is agricultural commercialization and productivity. Second is industrialization. Lastly is urbanization. And I think the Vice President articulated these pillars very well, so I'm not going to delve into that. But the two things that I want to highlight, Joab and the Minister and colleagues, first and most importantly is for us to think a lot more about entrepreneurship in as far as promoting youth job creation is concerned. Jobs will not come from government, jobs will not come from the development partners, jobs will come from private sector engagement. Now, two fronts in there. First is for us to organize our youths into cooperatives. They've got a lot of potential doing so many different things, and they need to be in those cooperatives for two things. First, import substitution and exports. So import substitution primarily because there are things that as our youth are growing into high quality products over time, we as a country should be buying off from them. Because that's one way of empowering the youth. So if they're doing some furniture, let's buy it from them. If they're doing some clothing materials, whatever, let's buy it from them. And as they grow over time, then we can be thinking about how we can promote them for the export market when the qualities are now growing bigger. So it should be government policy to make sure that we buy local from the cooperatives of the youth in the various aspects that we've organized them into. Linked to that is anchor firms. Now the anchor firms, these are big firms that we need to cajole to come into Malawi. Here, we would have government coming in more strongly with the kind of the Malawi Development Corporation of that time. In other words, like the mic that we have today, where you are coming up with bankable investment projects. And then you bring on board private sector to come along with government in an alliance. And come up with an anchor firm like the David Whitehead and Son of that time, where you're producing, for example, textiles. So when you begin to do that, over time, it means the cooperatives, the youth that you formed with, which have now grown into SMEs, will be linked to these anchor firms, which have very high global value chain connections, market connections. Because what matters at the end of the day is the market connections. So they will have regional and global markets. So the SMEs and the cooperatives that the youth have formed will link to these anchor firms. These anchor firms will sell on the export market. So here we have two aspects. The anchor firms primarily focusing on the export market, and you're cajoling private sector to come and support, work with government. Over time, government needs to withdraw its shares and sell those to Malawians so that we create a cadre of middle-class Malawians. Then you go to another greenfield investment, and so on and so forth. So, submitted, Joe, basically, what I'm saying here, three things. Markets, whatever form that are structured or otherwise, key. Second, we need to identify youth, put them into cooperatives. Third is to have anchor firms where the cooperatives and the SMEs can link to, so that they can link into the markets that we've identified. Lastly, suffice to mention that for all this to happen, we need enablers. And these enablers are like skills development. We need energy to come on board. We need to make sure that we have transport networks. That's where the development partners come on board. Catalytic in nature. Not that the jobs are coming from them, but they're supporting us to catalyze the enablers that will help us to create the environment that the youth can thrive in the job creation agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Muntali. Markets, cooperatives, and anchor firms. Interesting that you talk about markets, because I think that's what Ms. Nkwezalamba was also highlighting on the availability of markets for some of the products that young people are making in the country, but even bigger businesses are making in the country. And I think we will have a discussion around that issue as well, the issue of the export market that is there. Are we making the most of it? And even selling locally, are we doing enough? You did also touch on the Buy Local initiatives. We had the Best Buy Malawian campaign a while back. We've seen it getting revived. Is it getting enough ground? Is there enough traction to make sure that we generate enough for the young people to survive on? But we'll have a discussion around that later on, as I said. If you'd like to ask a question or make a comment on the issue of job creation, especially among the young people in Malawi, do get in touch with us. Don't call that number, just send a message on WhatsApp or on SMS. The number is 0997 932 888. 0997 932 888. As I invite the next speaker, who is the Executive Director of Employers Consultative Association of Malawi, Mr. George Kaki. This is your time. The issue is about job creation, especially for the young people. What do you have to say?
Thank you, Joab. All protocols observed. Honorable Minister, Deputy Honorable Minister, I think from the perspective of employers, the youth, the issue of job creation is multifaceted. Many issues have been discussed here, but I think I'll dwell on three issues. Number one is the issue of skills development, which is a recurring theme on what has been discussed this morning. If you look at the World Development Report, the changing nature of work, it shows that potentially in Malawi, our youth, when they are born today, 18 years later, they cannot even reach their half potential in order to perform all the tasks that we are talking about, which means we have low investments in education, in health, and therefore we need to see to it that we are putting our money where it matters most. And this is in developing the skills for our youth. If this is not done, then we should forget about development, because who is going to carry the work, who is going to do the work for us? And therefore, there is need that we invest in education, we invest in health, and we invest in social protection programs so that our youth are equipped to do the work that we are looking for. That is number one. The second issue I think that we need to look at is what my Honorable Minister of Labour said here about issues of job centers. This, I would call it public employment services, where you link the youth to the job market, where you link the private sector or companies to job seekers, but as well as linking with training institutions. There is a big problem of skills mismatch. Industry will tell you that the graduates that are coming out from training institutions are not fit for the world of work. And when we look at public employment services, this would ensure that there are linkages across all the stakeholders. But most importantly is the issue of labor information systems, market information systems. The Minister of Labor aptly put it to say that at the moment, for example, in Malawi, we do not have a systematic way of collecting labor data in the market. And therefore, it is very difficult for us to come up with policies and practices that are evidence-based. And therefore, public employment services will help us in creating responses that respond to the economic situation in Malawi. Last but not least, I think, is the issue of enterprise development. You cannot talk about job creation without talking about enterprises, whether big or small, because these are the ones that create jobs. And therefore, we need to have policies, laws that encourage the development of businesses, especially SMEs. In 2013, I think there was a MSME study which showed that MSMEs in Malawi in 2013 had over 1 billion jobs. Now, let's think if we develop this road now, how many jobs are we going to create? And therefore, we need policies and laws that will encourage the creation of small businesses in the country to supplement larger businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Interesting thoughts there that I think we will need to examine. Obviously, investment in education, health, and social protection is key. Development of skills for young people, very important. The issue of job centers, I think we'll need to discuss about that issue. Public employment services, how critical they can be in linking people with the jobs that they need, and of course, also identifying the relevant skills that our training centers need to be providing. There's the issue of skills mismatch. Most employers are complaining, you're not giving us people with the relevant skills that we want. So obviously the academia is not speaking to the industry. There's need to look into that issue. Market information systems, how many people are we employing, and what are they getting? Are the figures that we have true figures of employment? It's quite astounding to hear that in 2013 it was discovered that the SMEs are providing 1 billion jobs, and this is 2020. Has the number gone up? Was it real at all? Where are those 1 billion jobs if we are sitting here and talking about job creation? So we'll have a moment to discuss that. Before that, though, let me invite Mr. Whiskers Nkombezi from the Ministry from the industry to tell us more about, from the government perspective, how do you look at this issue? I think the buck stops with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, moderator.
Yes, sure. Just go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Thank you. From the Minister of Industry, that's part of our mandate. Maybe let me recognize first the presence of the Minister of Labor, the Minister of Industry, the Deputy Minister of Labor, and the other distinguished members of the diplomatic corps here. I think the first issue that we need to look at is which sectors create jobs. When we want to look at the economy and say we want to create jobs, we need to look at which sectors. I'm glad Dr. Muntali mentioned agriculture, industrialization, but others go further to say infrastructure development. It creates jobs. Others look at that as an enabler. For the government, the biggest issue that they are involved in is the enabling part. Does government provide an enabling environment? For instance, the policy framework, the legal framework, acts of parliament, the policies. Like now we have the micro, small and medium enterprises policy. Right now we are finalizing the development of the cooperative development policy. All those should be in place so that when the youth want to be organized into businesses, they should find a proper and enabling environment. The second one is related to the reforms that are taking place in this country. In other ways, re-engineering the processes. How long does it take for a youth to register a business, for instance? Whether at the Registrar General's office or if a group wants to get a cooperative registered. How long does that take? Those processes have to be looked at and be re-engineered to make them responsive to the needs of the youth in Malawi. Making them processes that enable enterprise development. The third issue is access to the factors of production. When we talk about these economic sectors and we want people to engage in economic activities, what are the factors of production they will need to engage in those activities? Do they access land easily? Do they access capital easily? Do they access labor? And now on this aspect, we are talking of employment. All these issues come into play to affect job creation. We had a discussion, for instance, with one stakeholder, and this is a private business person, who bluntly told us, I am a business person, I don't start a business to employ somebody. No. I start a business to get money. That's the reality. But while I want to get money, I need somebody to help me create that wealth. And so, that's why we are saying the debate about job creation should start with wealth creation. It should start with which sectors can create employment if we want to create wealth. And so then you see that enterprises, investors, business people will want to engage people. Because engaging people, engaging the youth in terms of job creation, those people are one of the factors of production. So you don't just start a business and employ somebody when you don't have access to finance. You don't have access to buildings or land where you operate as a business. So we have to look at these issues holistically. Let me also talk about, briefly, the issue of coordination. This is a huge issue. Employment and job creation is a huge matter which requires a lot of coordination. So, when we talk about coordination, the policies should speak to each other. The Honorable Minister of Labour talked about the national job creation strategy. That strategy would need the coordination of other sectoral strategies, for instance, the national export strategy. If there is another strategy to deal with skills, what does it say? So all those skills, all those strategies, all those policies should speak to each other. And you see that job creation will be an easier matter to deal with. But the policy framework is there. The reforms aimed at re-engineering processes that enable private sector to grow are being relooked at. There are deadlines, there are targets that have been set. The idea is to make it easier and faster to start a business, easier and faster to operate within this business environment. So our ministry, for instance, is ready. We have been relating well with the Ministry of Labour, Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture. All these economic sectors need to work together to coordinate well if job creation is to be a reality.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Whiskers Nkombezi. If you're just tuning in, this is a panel discussion that we're having here at the Bingu International Convention Center as part of the EU-AU conference. It's a joint conference on youth employment under the theme, A Proactive Youth for Malawi's Sustainable Future. And we're having this discussion on job creation. We've got Ms. Dineo Nkwezalamba, Dr. Thomas Muntali, Mr. George Kaki, and Mr. Whiskers Nkombezi participating in this panel discussion. and we would love to hear from you as well. We've got a live audience here at Bingu International Convention Center. We would like you to get in touch by sending an SMS or a WhatsApp message to 0997 932 888. 0997 932 888. Please don't call that number, just send a message. I'm now going to read some of the messages that we are getting from our listeners and viewers, as we are also preparing to get views from the live audience here at the Bingu International Convention Center. May I request that a microphone be provided to the members of the audience, and by raising your hand, I'm going to recognize you to make your contribution. Some quick messages that we're getting from our viewers and listeners. Someone says, Madam Nkwezalamba, how do we excite our customers, especially local customers, because what they buy out there are even less in quality compared to ours? Concepta, I think Concepta is the one who sent that message. So I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that later on. Quite a challenge there when people are rushing for let's say substandard work from outside the country, when actually we're making even better things. Is that true, or maybe it's a misconception? Mr. Kaki, enterprise development. Our fellow countries are emphasizing on productivity enhancement tools such as 5S and Kaizen. From the ECAM perspective, what are we doing to develop our enterprises with this concept, considering that Japan, USA, South Africa, Botswana, even Zimbabwe are prioritizing it? How about Malawi Concepta? And Stephen Kasompe, a chartered quality professional from Lilongwe, says, for us to create jobs, let us look into areas where we can make quick wins but also sustainable. Let us take agriculture, for example. We can make quick wins, but currently farming in Malawi is not trendy. We cannot attract the current generation. Let us incentivize and technologize. Malawi doesn't have incubation farms where graduates from various agriculture schools can experience real farming. That is why our graduates do not aspire to be entrepreneurs in agriculture. Let government work with commercial farmers to mentor our future farmers. Our current farmers are all aged, and soon Malawi will face acute food shortage if nothing is done. My name is Shalerayo Nyangulu, Labor Commissioner. Firstly, let me recognize the Minister of Labor and Deputy Minister and all people present there. I have a comment pertaining to creation of cooperatives, which will be linked to what was referred to as anchor firms. What measures are we going to put in place to ensure that we don't create another form of informal sector? Informal sector is largely characterized by decent work deficits. When we talk about decent work, workers need to enjoy rights at work, social protection, and social dialogue. In my view, we need a holistic approach that will enable the informal sector graduate to sustainable enterprises. The same should be true for cooperatives. So keep those views coming. If you've got specific questions directed at any of our panelists, I'm sure they will be delighted to address those. The number is 997-932-888. Please send a message. Don't call that number. I don't know if we've got views from the floor. Yes, we do. There's a hand up there. Can we take a microphone over that side, please? Did I see another hand at the back? There's another hand at the back there. Do we have someone taking a microphone across? Job creation, that's the major issue that we want to address today. How can young people make sure that they are creating employment for other people and that they are, those businesses are sustainable? I see you'll have to walk up here to use that microphone. If you can just move forward so that when he is done, we move on to you. I'll request you, sir, to make your submission as concise as possible because we are against time. It's your time.
Afternoon. My name is Honorable Yeremia Chihana, a Member of Parliament for Mzimba North and at the same time Secretary for Zodiak Caucus of Pan-African Parliament. My concern is, I think, to the last speaker from Minister of Trade. It is good you have said about factor endowment in the country. My take is Malawi might have a lot of factor endowment, including mining, special fish, and so forth. What is it that is wrong in Malawi that all our factor endowment are being exposed to foreigners, even importing foreigners to sell things in our shops? Does that need a layer skill? That is one way we are losing jobs, but at the same time we are looking for creation of jobs. And then the second thing is, when you are talking about factor endowment or factors of production, most importantly, I think in Europe they are calling it e-youth. Malawi is not investing enough in education, especially in layer skills. When I was in Form 4, there was Kamu's Academy, which came in as an intervention to create quantity surveyors who were in layer skills, doctors and so forth. What is it that we are not doing enough? Is it not possible that we should create an education bursary which should have grants in layer skills so that the country can be financing layer skills which can take up the up market which is being taken over by foreigners? I want to also take on Dr. Thomas Muntali. Yes, I'm very lucky that you have alluded to MDC. There was also Agriculture Investment ADMAC Holdings, which was both creating a job market as well as a financial market to the rural community. But what I wanted to say is, given a chance, with my experience in Sweden or in social democratic countries, it is easier to create jobs which are tailor-made to the factor of production. For example, I keep on referring to Chikwawa. Chikwawa district can produce enough sugar for the whole region, but we are not investing enough. We are not both in our people as well as in the technology of production. And even in the cotton, we have adequate cotton, but you can end up saying, this year we have not bought cotton. But our people stopped dressing in cotton. In my view, again, I worked with Dr. Banda. We created things like smallholder sugar coffee, direct intervention, smallholder coffee, smallholder sugar. These were direct intervention into job creation. Why can't we do the same so that government should have deliberate policy of exercising discretionary measures in areas where there are already factors of endowment which just need factors of creation? And to that end, factors of creation will involve both government investment in education and private. But the private sector, like Irovo, which was investing in Kamu's Academy, should put more money in the education sector, especially in science subjects like engineering. I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your submission, and thank you so much for being concise. May I have the next speaker? Do we have anybody else who wants to come in? There is a hand, if you can come, and another one. I'll take those 2 and 3. So those 3, and then I'm sorry, I will have to close. That hand is quite persistent, so I'll give you a second, sir. So those 4 hands, and then we wind up. For our panelists, I will request you to take note of the questions. I will give you just about 3 minutes each to respond to the submissions, but also to wind up in the interest of time. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Innocent Makondi. I'm the founder and managing director for Top Trading Group. I registered my businesses in 2012 when I had completed my bachelor's degree from Malawi Adventist University. I'm coming in with an illustration based on the topic that we're discussing here. I take this topic to be something that is very practical because I've done that, I've seen it, and then I think it's something that we're going to do based on something that we know that works for Malawi. The time that I was registering my businesses, I will come in with like an illustration. I started my business with 150 kwacha. I bought a loaf of bread. That was in 2012 when a loaf of bread was costing 150 Portuguese bread. As I'm standing in front of you now, I'm running 5 companies. We've talked about National Planning Commission. If you've seen the logo coming from National Planning Commission, I am the one who designed that logo. We've talked of MITC. I am the one who has developed the strategic plan for MITC. The CEO for National Planning Commission talked about Malawi Agricultural and Industrial Investment Corporation. My company that I registered in 2012, when I started my business with 150 kwacha, I'm happy to tell you that one of my companies is the one that is championing the advertising, marketing, and branding for Mike. So when we talk about job creation, we are not talking about something that we expect the government or the donors to fund us. We are talking about using the limited resources that we have, the limited savings that we have, and apply them on our day-to-day basis. I believe that we do have, most of the youths in Malawi have got enough potential that can allow our own market to create 1 million jobs. I'm not talking about the government offering the market, the job opportunities, or I'm not talking about the banks or the private sector. I'm talking about the SMEs, me being an example. Out of 150 kwacha, I can boldly tell you that as I'm standing in front of you now, one of our companies is called Top Logistics and Car Hire. I registered that business when I had nothing. I didn't know how to drive. I didn't have any relative that had a car. But as I'm telling you now, we have 14 vehicles. This is coming out of having a discipline. Discipline to serve, discipline to connect with the right people, discipline on how we keep our savings, as well as balance between investment and leisure. I'm 34 years, but I can gladly tell you that there is a lot that we are doing, there is a lot that we are planning on doing. But most of the times, the challenge that we face is lack of audience. I am a practical person. This topic that we are discussing here, I developed a communication campaign towards achieving the creation of 1 million jobs. This is something that will have to go with the mind. My business started when I was in school. On the first day that I stepped in school, I started practicing business right on campus. So we may say, let's give our students, those that graduate, employment opportunities. But it should start as well from the youths.
Okay.
While we are on campus, knowing what we can do after we graduate.
Okay.
So I would want to say the government has also another critical role where they can listen to some of the ideas that most of the youths present. We have done a very powerful concept to do with one of the businesses for the government. We approached, I'll be very practical, we approached the office of Vice President. We referred that we should go to the office of President. We went there and then we were referred that we should go to another ministry. In business, we talk about time. In business, we say it is now or never. The other thing that maybe I would want us to have, that I can present to whosoever is watching us, is to give us like the platform where we can direct our proposals. We're not asking for money from the government. We are saying that we have ideas, but now where do we put those ideas? Do you keep moving us around, or what do we do?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I can tell that you still have got a lot to share with us, but thank you so much. In the interest of time, I'll invite the next person to take to the podium and share with us their views. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Quite inspirational, I must say. More comments from our followers on radio and television. My input is that we need to focus indeed on skills development, but these skills must be demand driven and move with time. There should be a deliberate arrangement to provide for toolkits and startup capital so that we create more jobs from the entrepreneurs. That's Joseph Kankwangwa there. MRA collects a lot of data from employers through payee payments. Does the Ministry of Labor work with MRA as a starting point to collect employment data? We don't have Minister of Labor on stage, but we've got Minister of Labor in the room, so maybe they might want to give a quick response to that. Morning, my name is Roderick Zalimba, Prison Fellowship Malawi in Balaga. While creating an enabling environment, is the government aware of the challenges that young people coming out of our prisons face in securing acceptance in the job market? There is stigma and discrimination leveled against people who have come out of prisons irrespective of their skills and capacity. Something that we never really spent time to think about there. Government should invest much. We need a holistic approach of investment at every part of the value chain, from the primary production, that is farm, where investments are made in terms of access inputs like seed, fertilizer, services like irrigation, mechanization, insurance, transport, post-harvest handling, and access to sustainable markets. That's Manes Nkata, an entrepreneur, adding value to agricultural products and employer of more than 30 youth. Thank you so much, Manes, and all of you for getting in touch. Yes, sir. Briefly.
Thank you. My name is Innocent Magambi. I'm a foreigner and a refugee, but I'm one of the people who are creating jobs and training young people in this country. I have one question, but before I do that, let me just talk to something that Honorable Chihana said. He mentioned about jobs that are being taken by Malawians in this country, but he forgot to talk about jobs that are being created by foreigners. So as a foreigner, I want to make sure that Malawians know that, in the past, Malawians looked a certain way, but this time, some are white, some are Chinese. And so when you talk about foreigners, it's important also to recognize that they are also doing something that is important. My question is, it takes a lot of effort to move from informal sector into formal sector. We heard the statistics that so many businesses in Malawi are in the informal sector. Now, my question to the government is, what kind of incentives are they preparing to give to people so that they can move from informal into formal because of the benefit, one, to the country, but also what the Right Honorable Vice President said, that when a job, someone is working in a formal sector, there is security. So I'm just wondering whether there is an incentive or there is a way, mechanism to encourage people to move from informal to formal. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Critical question there. I don't know if we've been thinking about that or if we've been doing that indeed. The issue is, what should be the motivation for me to graduate from being an informal employer to a formal employer? I think there were two more hands that were up. Kindly make your way and make your quick submission. I see you're carrying a laptop. I hope you don't want to make a PowerPoint presentation.
No. All right, my name is Dennis Imani. I work with the British Council. I'm the Projects Officer for Arts. So that tells you I'll be looking into the creative industries.
Please.
I have a quick question. I'm combining two industries here, the creative industry and the social enterprise. There's a new report that the British Council has just published on social enterprise in the sub-Saharan Africa, which shows that the social enterprise space employs a lot more people, maybe slightly more than the for-profit SMEs. And it says if social enterprises are supported and conducive environments are created in different countries, we could be creating more jobs which are decent, but also jobs that actually support the most vulnerable and empower women effectively. I would like to understand from the panelists, from the private sector, from the government, do we have a conducive environment that is supporting the creation of more social enterprises? And in the same vein, what plans or policies are there that supports our young people who are mostly into the creative industries? Most of them, we see them, they entertain us, they work for us, but do we consider what they do as jobs or young people or people chasing their hobbies? I would like to understand what we have in place on these two things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. The last speaker, the last question. Yes, please. Come forward. Interesting question there. I know of parents who say, oh my goodness, my son is an actor. Go and find a job. My son is a singer. Why can't you find a job? Like, Dad, this is my job. And they still don't accept that. Yes, please.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Chifundo Robert Banda, and I'm representing African Union Youth Charter, Malawi. I have a few things to say, but first of all, let me recognize the effort that has been laid down by African Union to work with us, young people, in as far as the demonstration of Agenda 2063 and other policies is concerned, and also the European Union to also have this other effort in as far as skills development is concerned. And I should also mention that the government is also doing quite a number of things in as far as what we have seen in the public forms are concerned. However, I have a few things that I want to stress in as far as my team, that is youth in general, is concerned. Number one is an issue to do with the levels of participation. We as young people that we are concerned of. We should be very honest here. And first of all, let me say this, that it is so surprising that as we young people are complaining about something, this other extreme to this other end, it also appears to be in our shoe, to be complaining with us. Now the question is, who is to take our worries? Who is to address our problems? Yeah, so let me start by saying that there's a problem in as far as the participation is concerned. I'm talking about the programming of the projects, development projects, that is, starting from the issue to do with financial redressing, issues to do with financial management, and of course financial use. You may agree with me that I think this hall is even full of young people. They will also agree with me that most of these, mostly government uses us, I will term it as token and therapy. They mostly use us whenever we want, they want us to support, to give the, technical support. But when it comes to finances, they don't trust us. The government just trusts us when we want to give the support and as far as the technical aspect is concerned. But when it comes to issues to do with finances, they don't come they don't come open to say, we are here to support you. This is what we have seen. Of course, there are a number of documents that says that there is that participation of youth, but in actual sense, it's not what is happening. Okay. I can give a number of examples.
I think we can limit it to one example.
Okay, I'll give an example of, I know that it has been phased out for now, the issue to do with NIF, which has been disintegrated from MADEF. It is clear that there's an issue to do with participation as far as young people are concerned. But what has been happening or what was happening is not what is supposed to be done. So I think it's my appeal that we should look into these things. The government should make sure that it includes the young people in as far as the programming of everything is concerned. Yeah, so thank you so much for the sake of time.
Thank you very much indeed. Nothing for us without us. Young people want to be included in the planning of most of the projects that they are invited to, but they should also be supported financially. I will invite our panelists to wind up, starting with Ms. Nkwezalamba. Before we hear from her, though, more messages here, quick ones. On job creation, one of the panelists said that cooperatives should be organized for the youth so that they are linked with anchor firms. My question is, who will be regulating the linkages with the anchor firms which have connections on the export markets to ensure the youths are not taken advantage of? That's Catherine Ndege Chirwa. My name is Innocent, and I run my own private clinic. Let me thank you all for this discussion. It is a concern for everyone the way how the graduates are struggling to find jobs. On our own, we cannot achieve anything. Government must intervene in all sectors and find out how they can assist. For example, some of us were finding it challenging to employ some people because our turn-up is low. The turn-up is low because some medical insurances, and it gives an example there, don't recognize us. Every time we apply to them to be service providers, they reject our applications for no apparent reason. Dental therapist has been hinted so hard with I think another medical insurance company there. So my suggestion as private health entity is to approach those medical insurance organizations and find out why they don't allow dental therapists in town to get registered with their insurance. This way private clinics and hospitals will have enough turnovers that will have them employ more people. There are many comments here. There's another one that might interest the other one that comment on the entertainment industry coming from Atupele. My comment is to explore the development of the entertainment industry because we have so many talented youths out there who can only go so far because our entertainment sector is not as vibrant. A vibrant entertainment sector could also help the industrialization component. Sectors like tourism and trade, as well as the financial sector, would benefit from the entertainment sector. Thank you very much for those comments. Let's hear from Ms. Nkwezalamba in 3 minutes if you can manage.
I'll try to manage.
Thank you, please.
Thank you so much, Joe. I think I'll go back to the question that I've been asked to say that how can we excite our customers? I think first thing we need to acknowledge that when we talk about job creation, it means that we are agreeing that private sector is the one that is going to create more jobs as a country. Now, if we talk about private sector creating more jobs, it means the private sector must be in a position to sell products and services to the current existing population or even export it. The more products and services they sell, it means that they can create more jobs. Now, the big question is that, are we as a nation, on the skills that have been transferred, are we at par to compete with the international standards? Do we even know what standards, like regulations when coming to standards, and also accessibility to that information for us to be able to drop our costs on production? Now, we also need to recognize that we are living in a population that is as big as Lagos, and equally we have less than 12% of our population that we want to be entrepreneurial, that have got access to electricity. Now, we need to look into, it's very imperative for ecosystem enablers, government, and equally private sector to work together on this. We cannot achieve job creation unless we work as a union and not as silos. So I will just highlight on my recommendation to say that how do we make our products as Malawians be eligible to be purchased by the 80% of our population that we are not currently saving now, because everybody wants to export, but we are also not ready to export because we don't even satisfy the quantities that the export market is looking for. Now, as ecosystem enablers, I would say that it's our role to look into mindset change. Not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur, but we need to start raising a nation that it's also intrapreneur. They need to go to school knowing that I'm developing my skill set to be the best accountant so that my company can be able to achieve certain standards or whatever limits that they have set for themselves or desires. Until our education system educates our kids to be entrepreneurs so that contributing to the output of the country, and also we want the private sectors to actively participate in our GDP growth. Now we look about the youth being over 40% of our population. Now we look into the talent and skill gap. How are we doing our analysis on skill gap? Because it's a cost. Apparently, most entrepreneurs, when they start their businesses, the first 2 years, they fold. Meaning that they don't have proper support, they don't have access to information, they don't have the right platform for them to be incubated, they don't have the mentorship that needs to come from private sector, where private sector can become mentors and be able to transfer best practices per industry. We are also looking into access to centralized industry information, but also is government looking into rural and peri-urban decentralization? Can we create markets and mini industries in the areas where we can serve better, where we cut down the cost of logistics, but also we cut down the cost of production based on other alternative means of creating energy? Now, private sector, how will it play a role in all this? Private sector must make a decisive conclusion to say that we all in private sector have got what we call corporate social responsibility. Are we using our corporate social responsibility in such a way that it creates shared value? Can we use the corporate social responsibility to be the seat for the entrepreneurs that want to start businesses, but equally take them in to mentor them? In Malawi, there's no a customer for an emerging entrepreneur. The customer is one. So until we create the environment for emerging entrepreneurs to compete in an environment where we've got the enterprises that are 15 years old, then we will not be able to create the jobs that we're talking about. Okay. Government. Right. How is government going to participate in ensuring that we drop down the cost? I would think that government must work closely with ecosystem enablers. The government must create an environment whereby the policies and the acts that we create are conducive for our small businesses to start and thrive. The government must be in the position to create one-stop business centers for one entrepreneur to be able to register their company. They have to go from one point to another. It can take 6 months for them just to register and get access to the information within their industry. So with all that said, I will say that it's imperative that private sector, ecosystem enablers, and equally government should work together and come up with the solutions for Malawians for the problems that we have as Malawians. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That wasn't 3 minutes though. But I guess you gave it your best shot. I will still insist that we stick to the 3 minutes to wind up because of time. One thing that's really disturbing is the internship that the government introduced. This is making our graduates more dull because they expect to be employed, a thing which the government can't fulfill. Hence, it's molding them into government employment process, which is out of context for the private sector. Thank you. That's a comment from one of the people who is following this discussion. Dr. Muntali, there were several questions that were directed at you, and I'm sure you've got a couple of things to wind up.
All right, I will go straight to the point, Joab. You see, I want to come back to the point that I started off with. Markets are very important. If you know where you'll be selling, what products are there that are required, you put the skill sets that are required because you know there's a market that you want to fulfill out there. You put in place the policy environment that should take you to advantage of the market that you find. You make sure that you facilitate the enablers of transportation, of energy, because you've identified a market. Even when you're going to school, if you're going to do law and you know there's a market for law, you encourage yourself to do it because you first identified there's a market for legal services. If you don't have that market, your motivation to do it becomes very low. Our youth, no matter how more skilled they can be, if we don't provide a market of what they will produce, it's useless. Now there are two fronts there. That's why I mentioned about exports and import substitution. On import substitution, government should facilitate the cooperative formation and tell the youth, look, we need a lot of furniture in our hospitals, in our schools. Form these groupings with providing a market for you. So the training in the vocational, whatever it is, has already a market for the youth. On the connection to the export markets, no matter how much we can try, but if we do not have the global value chain connections, you will not get there. That's where you bring the anchor firms. You are cajoling the big anchor firms, whether it's from Germany, whether it's from wherever it is, and that's where we have to create an environment both for local and foreign investors, good environment for both to thrive. Once you have those anchor firms, the SMEs, the cooperatives are now going beyond import substitution of just providing for Malawi, but now going to the export market. In the meanwhile, the youth are being supported to upgrade their quality. Because the more you're giving them business, the more they're doing better. So if they are supplying locally, whether it's in hospital, whatever it is, over time when these big things are happening, then they're going up there. That is my strong submission. Jobs in Malawi will not come from the donor community, will not come from government, because these jobs, the white collar jobs, actually stifle creativity. They stifle innovation. It is when you are bringing private capital that you begin to think outside the box as a country. So we have to support a lot more of doing bankable investment projects so that we bring the private capital into Malawi. There are lots of pension funds that are sitting in the country at the moment. These are people's money, but they only invest where there are bankable investment projects. And that is the private sector mind, an entrepreneurial mind. That's what we need to be inculcating in our youth and moving forward. My last question, because they said cooperatives, yes. Who's going to coordinate the cooperatives?
Exactly. And
I think, my friend there will talk there on Kombesi. I think there's already a cooperative policy that is in place there that coordinates all these things. Even the Minister of Agriculture is facilitating a lot of cooperatives around these things. Okay. And if we have those institutions already in place, including what I mentioned, that if we're having an equivalent of MDC, where it will be facilitating joint alliances with the private sector, these are the ones that will connect the cooperatives to anchor farms and the rest. So we have the environment. Government has what it takes. And I think we should take advantage of the commitment of the current government. They would want things to move. Let's take advantage and push to get the wealth creation agenda up and running. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Muntali. I will now invite Mr. George Kaki, Executive Director of Employers Consultative Association of Malawi, to wind up.
Okay, thank you. I think just a correction. Did I mention 1 billion jobs? I should have said 1 million jobs.
Well, I was quite, my mind was blown when you mentioned that figure.
I should have said 1 million jobs.
Okay.
Now to respond directly to some of the issues that came up. One thing was, what are we doing to develop enterprises to be at par, say, for example, with enterprises in Japan? What we should be looking at now is what is going to determine the nature of work going into the future. So one of the things that we're looking at, I think there are demographic issues, where we're talking about the youth being a demographic dividend, but we're also looking at technology or pre-COVID. Nobody would have dreamed that Malawi would have embraced the modern way of doing business via Zoom, via Teams, and what have you. So you see, the whole world has moved over quite a lot. In Africa, I think we talk about Rwanda. And we see what technology is doing to Rwanda. And therefore, if we need to move forward, I think we need to embrace and adapt technology so that our businesses move forward, one, in terms of production means and in terms of learning. Because with internet, for example, information will come to us quite a lot. And therefore, this is one of the things that we must do. I think there was also the issue that skills must be demand-driven. I think that was the point that the Honorable Minister here made, that we must have labor market information, which will determine what skills we have, and there should be linkages between the industry and the training institutions and the learners. The other thing that came up is, do we have a conducive environment to support jobs? Yes, we have. Number one is the Constitution. Section 31 refers to safe and fair labor practices. Besides that, I think we have numerous registrations, like the Employment Act and the Labor Relations Act. On the global stage, we have Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which is looking at employment, which Malawi is a signatory to. That's Agenda 2030. So yes, we have the environment, the means and the tools to support what we call decent jobs. But this said, again, I think we need to recognize that the COVID-19 pandemic has hit us so hard. We did an assessment and we estimate that Malawi is likely to lose up to 780,000 jobs. And therefore, this is where we need to come in and do something to look at the industries and the sectors that would create jobs in Malawi. For example, investments in public infrastructure, investments in sectors that have quick gains for us, tourism, for example, mining and agriculture. We should also take note that COVID-19 has hit more the youth than the elderly because of two reasons. One, when you're thinking of terminating, you terminate somebody who's just come into the labor market because it's cheaper to pay them off. But when you're also looking at productivity, you'd rather keep a person who is more experienced than somebody who's just come from school, because you get out more from somebody who's worked for a long period of time. And therefore, we need to have policies that will keep our youth in the job market.
Okay.
Last but not least, I think the issues that we need to deal with in order to ensure that youth employment is promoted in Malawi. One, deal with corruption heavily. Deal with corruption. If we don't do this, we're doing nothing. Secondly, energy. All SMEs and big industries, they need reliable and sustainable energy. If we don't have this, we are doomed. Transport contributes quite a lot to the cost of production in the country, and even exporting. Let's deal with this. Last but not least, let's settle debts that are owed to the industry for services provided to government and for taxes that are owed by MRA. Otherwise, we will not be creating jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Very, very practical recommendations, especially the very last bit there. I could hear resonating rejoinders from the audience. Let's have Mr. Nkombezi from the Ministry of Industry to wind up.
Thank you very much, moderator. There are a lot of questions, but maybe with time I may not be able to cover all of them, but I just wanted to highlight some major issues that contributors mentioned. The issue of financing rare skills. It comes from the same issue that the Honourable Minister pointed out, Minister of Labour. We need a very simple example. If we want to go into mining, do we have enough mining engineers in Malawi? Do we have mining economists? The legal fraternity, there is a special kind of legal practitioners that deal with mining contracts? Do we have experienced lawyers in the mining sector? And that's the job mismatch that the Honorable Minister was talking about. And when we talk about skills, the skills must look at the market. If I'm learning to do this, where will I use it? Even if I'm learning this skill to do my own business, will I produce something that is demanded by the market? So the issue of demand-driven is very important, that we have to look at it and even look at the strategic direction the economy is taking. If in the future Malawi wants to engage in artificial intelligence, what type of skills do we need? Those will determine where we invest our resources in terms of skilling our workforce. And certainly the young people will be the major beneficiary of that kind of program. I also wanted to talk a bit about direct intervention that was mentioned. Direct intervention by government, by investing into the economy, creating companies. The issue of Mike being our new MDC. We think that's the way to go. A bit of time before, the paradigm was that governments should get away from the market. Government should not be involved in creating companies. That's purely for private sector. But experience has taught us that it is also not possible, especially for an economy like Malawi, that everything can be done by the private sector. I ask myself, with all the flaws or problems here and there, if government had not created Salima Sugar, which private company would have created Salima Sugar today? If government was not involved in Inoceria, just here close to the airport, would we have Inoceria today? If government had not created the Sukomas of that time, which were privatized to become Ilovos, would we have those companies? Now, when you have those big companies performing as anchor films that Thomas was talking about, no company of the size of Ilovo can do everything by its own. These companies engage SMEs. They engage cutting films. They engage people be fixing their cars. They engage people be transporting their products. They engage marketers. They engage all sorts of service providers. And these service providers are mostly small and medium enterprises or cooperatives. So there is backward linkages and forward linkages around these anchor films. That is the reason we are saying, wherever possible, we don't have enough resources as government, but wherever possible, let's create films through vehicles such as Mike. Mike can be resourced and create films as MDC was doing, as Adimac Holdings was doing. The other issue that I also wanted to talk about is the stage at which our development is. We shouldn't underrate our own initiatives. I was asking somebody to say, do you remember this soap called Boom, barely 10 years ago? It looked very funny. Today, the products that Trade Kings is producing are so nice. We have to start from somewhere. We just have to start. And we will keep on improving. And we have to support this. The Minister of Finance, for instance, talked about uniforms for the army, for the police, for the immigration. Let's start creating cooperatives who can be tailoring those uniforms. Today, we will be buying clothes from somewhere, Tanzania or DRC, to sew these. Tomorrow, we'll be manufacturing buttons ourselves, zippers ourselves, and that's what we should do. And by doing that, you are creating employment. We are talking about business development or enterprise development because we are saying jobs can only be created from these businesses. Not being hard on government employers, no. Employment, much of employment will take place in private firms. Okay. So there are issues that we can talk about. We are available. We can talk about all sorts of issues, but let's be straightforward here.
Thank you.
Private companies will create jobs, and these are some of the strategies we can use. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Wiskesi Nkombezi from the Ministry of Industry, the Director of SMEs and Cooperatives there. Association of Malawi, and we had Dr. Thomas Montali, CEO of the National Planning Commission, and Ms. Dineo Nkwezalamba, Director of Zuka Africa. This panel discussion was on job creation as part of the joint conference on youth employment taking place here at the Bingu International Convention Center. There will be another panel discussion later on in the afternoon, which is on skills development. Are we getting it right? But for now, allow us to wind up at this note as I invite us to give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you very much indeed. Our panelists, you are free to go and resume your seats as I invite Mr. Simeon Kuntambira to come forward and give us a testimonial on youth entrepreneurship. Mr. Kuntambira, this is your time.
Hello, my name is Simeon Kuntambila, as you said, and I'm an entrepreneur. Now, youth entrepreneurship is what is necessary right now, but there are several things that we need to get out of the way first for it to be effective. Firstly, we need to talk about protection from the government. Malawi is largely in a trade deficit. According to the OEC, Malawi exports $1.7 billion worth of goods and imports $2.79 billion worth of goods, meaning that we're in about $1 billion deficit. Now, local industries are facing competitions from traders that import goods and products that could easily be manufactured here in Malawi. And that's a problem. People in carpentry, people that make furniture and clothing, and people that are in the food industry are facing this competition. Now you've got young entrepreneurs that are going against multinational companies that have spent hundreds of $millions in marketing and building a brand. And you're not giving the young entrepreneurs an opportunity in order for them to create an image for their own, a brand of their own, and for their goods and services to become country favorites. So there's a lot that needs to be done here. We can utilize quotas, tariffs, and embargoes to ensure that against those products that could easily be manufactured here in Malawi. And also, we could create subsidy programs for young entrepreneurs that are operating strategic businesses that could improve, again, the business environment for these entrepreneurs here. There are several issues, and the main and big one here is corruption. It's something that we also need to talk about, and it acts as a barrier to entry to many industries, and it's killing youth entrepreneurship, because there are certain things that certain industries that even if the youth produce something that is of high quality, they work hard and they're innovative, there are just certain markets that they cannot access because they are corrupt individuals that are benefiting from these markets. Now, corruption has got far-reaching implications on the economy, and it affects equitable distribution of resources across the population, and it acts as a disincentive to innovation, and it promotes rent-seeking behavior. So by killing off the corruption that is there, that is present in the marketplace, we open up a level playing field for everybody. So this is something else that has to be looked at. We've got a problem when it comes to access to finances as well, because the Global Entrepreneurship Index ranks Malawi as 133 out of 137 countries, meaning that according to this index, there are only 4 countries worse than Malawi to be an entrepreneur. And lack of access to finances is put forward as one of the prime hindrances to entrepreneurial success in this country. So put simply, the youth do not have adequate financing in order to make a real impact in the economy. The FinScope study in 2012 found that 59% of small and medium enterprises are excluded from financial services. And a study by Nelson N. Ndala in 2019 found that most financing is available, but it's just not catered toward the needs of the youth. Hence why the problem is not necessarily availability, but the access. But this presents an opportunity. With most challenges, the opportunities. And I believe an opportunity here could be that of venture capitalism. See, a venture capitalist is a private investor that provides funding to companies that exhibit high growth potential in exchange for equity stake. So perhaps if this was pushed and moved forward, it could sort out the capital needs that the youth are facing. Another thing that we need to look at is lack of critical skills and low levels of education. See, education has a high impact on entrepreneurial success because it provides entrepreneurs with the necessary cognitive skills to identify and take advantage of entrepreneurial opportunities. But a large share of young Malawians drop out of school at a very young age, so they don't even acquire the basic skills necessary for entrepreneurship. See, the dropout rates are high. It's at about 35% in primary school. And now this translates into low enrollment in secondary school and low enrollment in tertiary education. And the quality of the education as well. So essentially we're lagging behind in terms of education, but we need to now develop those high quality skills that the world needs right now. And I'm talking about catching up with the latest innovations that are needed in the world and not things of past thought. The most important thing that I feel like could help a lot of young entrepreneurs now is the digital infrastructure and the cost of internet in this country, if those were improved. Because the digital infrastructure is expanding rapidly and a lot of entrepreneurs are getting wealth from this. The benefits from the digital space is that it provides you a larger market base because your products are on offer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are lower costs and there's also lower barriers to entry. For instance, in the UK alone, the digital economy was worth £400 million a day. And in the year of 2018, it contributed $149 billion. But where are we getting it wrong here? The digital infrastructure is very low. In Malawi, the percentage of the population that uses the internet is at 15%. When you compare this to 24% in Zambia, 33% in Zimbabwe, 25% in Tanzania, and 26% in Rwanda, you see that it's the lowest in the region. And at the same time, it ranks 84th out of 86 countries in terms of affordability, meaning that it's very expensive as well. So we need to create a path in which we can make the internet more widely available and cheaper so that to expand the market base for young entrepreneurs and also not to deter users from accessing those markets because of the costs of data. So the opportunity therein lies with the expansion of the market space if we're to really invest in this digital space, because the World Bank policy research says that there's a positive relationship with internet usage and trade. And there's a positive relationship between internet usage and exports, with a 1% increase in the percentage of the population that uses the internet, reflecting a 1.4% increase in the levels of export. So these are just some of the things that we could look at to make sure that youth are given the suitable environment for their private sector activities to expand.
The hour elapses. It's 1:08 on my watch. Us to have our lunch as quickly as we can to make sure that by 1:45 we are getting back into this room, and by 2:00 we are all set to start. Please take note of that. At 2:00 we're going to start our program, so just make sure that you are here by that time, because whether you're here or not, we will still start at 2:00. So please, let's keep time. May I therefore request our Honorable Minister of Labour to lead us out as we go out for lunch. Lunch has been set in Mvu room, which is the last room, I think, on our left. So when we exit, let's turn left. We're going to find lunch there. Let's proceed to lunch and see you in an hour's time. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.